Those who sow in tears shall keep rejoicing. The responsorial psalm for today says, My dear fellow Filipinos, my dear brothers and sisters, I am sure many of you will remember the last words of Lorenzo Ruiz before his execution. He is quoted to have said, I shall die only for God, and for Him I will give many thousands of lives if only I had them. Today we celebrate and we remember the martyrdom of the first Filipino saint and his companion martyrs. Lorenzo Ruiz hung from the gallows upside down, and from the waist up, he was submerged into a humid and filthy pit, reeking with stench from all sorts of rotting refuse. Lorenzo Ruiz was completely bound from head to foot, with only his right hand free, and earlier he was also subjected to water torture. The Japanese tormentors forced Lorenzo Ruiz to drink huge quantities of water until his belly could not hold the water anymore. And then Lorenzo Ruiz was made to lie on the floor, and a long board was placed on his stomach, and two men were asked to step on both ends of the board and began pressing to make water sprout violently by mouth, by ears, by nose, and other openings in his body. They repeated this barbaric and inhuman act many times until Lorenzo Ruiz was close to death. A simple gesture, expressing recantation, would have been enough to end his sufferings, but Lorenzo Ruiz loved Christ tremendously. No amount of beating or torture could make him renounce his Catholic faith, and he died a martyr on September 9, 1637, after enduring 3 days of agony in the hands of his Japanese torturers. But who is Lorenzo Ruiz? Lorenzo Ruiz was born to a Chinese father and a Filipina mother in Binondo, Manila, between 1600 and 1610. We are not sure of the exact year of his birth, but in his early years, Lorenzo was a sacristan in the parish church of Binondo. He then became an escribano who transcribed documents because of his beautiful penmanship, and he became a member of the Confraternity of the Holy Rosary, whose aim was to promote devotion to the Blessed Mother through the recitation of the Rosary. And to make the long story short, Lorenzo Ruiz led a holy life. He was married, although no document mentioned the name of his wife. He admitted before he died that he had a wife with whom he had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. In 1636, however, Lorenzo was implicated in the murder of a Spaniard, and to escape the possible penalty of death, he joined a sacred mission to Japan. The Dominicans, believing in his innocence, shipped Lorenzo Ruiz out of the Philippines together with 4 other Dominican priests and a Japanese layman, and they stayed in Okinawa in Japan. Christianity was then strictly forbidden in Japan. That is why all missionaries and their catechists were ordered out of the country. And when Lorenzo and his companions were discovered, they were thrown into prison, and after a year, they were brought to Nagasaki to be tried as ordinary criminals. On September 21, 1637, Lorenzo was brought before the tribunal. He was given the opportunity to recant his Catholic faith, but Lorenzo vigorously declined, and he declared courageously and boldly, "I am a Christian, I am a Catholic, and this I profess until the hour of my death, and for God I shall give my life, if only I had thousands of them." My dear fellow Filipinos, on September 27, 1637, Lorenzo Ruiz and his companions were executed on a hill known as the Holy Mountain in Nagasaki. His body was burned. His ashes were thrown into the sea near the island of Iwo Jima. Pope John Paul II beatified him together with 16 other martyrs in 1981 in Luneta, Philippines, during his pastoral visit, and Lorenzo Ruiz was canonized as the first Filipino saint. He was canonized in Rome on October 18, 1987. May San Lorenzo Ruiz and his companion martyrs continue to pray for the Philippines and for the poor and suffering Filipinos. Amen.